You're listening to Big World Network.
Delroy Versus the Yshtari, Season 2, Episode 4, Betrayed. Written and read by Baron Stevens. Minx wailed, "We're going to die!" "Is there any chance we can outrun them?" I asked Stella as she looked over my shoulder at the scanner to see the Yshtari fleet bearing down on us. "Not in this tub." "What about weapons? Have you fixed those yet?" I asked. "Haven't had time. Besides, the guns on this thing are no match for those Yshtari cruisers." She returned her focus to the controls and made a sharp turn, forcing me to grab onto the screen to keep from being tossed across the room. It felt like all my guts were squished into my liver. Once we pulled out of the turn, I looked at the scanner again. We were now heading parallel to their line, but the Yshtari ships were tightening their circle as they raced toward us. I'm afraid that move only delayed the inevitable. Then an idea occurred to me. "Minx, get on the radio and use that fancy Yshtari language chip of yours to negotiate something." "He speaks Yshtari?" Stella asked. "Yeah, they programmed it into him while we were on the planet," I answered. "But I have no idea what to say, sir," Minx said. "Just tell them something that will get them to open a gap for us and allow us to escape." "I have no idea what that would be." "Me neither." Stella said, "It's a moot point. The radio still doesn't work." "Oh, yeah, right. Well, I'm out of ideas," I muttered. "We're going to die," Minx said again as he started to flail his arms and spin around the control room. "Minx, knock it off!" To my surprise, he did. A blaster bolt streaked past us. "Why are they firing blasters at us? I thought they didn't believe in them." I looked at the scanner to see a larger blip approaching from deep space. Stella let out a whoop and smiled. "They don't. That came from the forward battery of the Ulysses. The girls must have found them and sent them our way." "Well, they need to watch what they're shooting at. That almost hit us." As I spoke, one of the Yshtari ships exploded in a brief ball of flame as a blaster beam ripped through it. Shortly after that, another one met its end. "How about that shooting?" Stella asked. "Yeah, that's a little better. Looks like they've opened a gap for us to get through." "I see it," Stella said as she concentrated on the controls. Another Yshtari cruiser exploded. "Yeehaw!" I shouted. "Go Marines!" The other Yshtari ships withdrew to regroup, giving us clear access to the Ulysses. A few minutes later, we pulled up alongside the giant battleship and docked. Once we connected, the Ulysses turned about and headed back into deep space. When the airlock doors opened, Stella, Minx, and I walked through and into the battleship. We entered a large, square reception area that was decorated in utilitarian steel. There wasn't any kind of decoration other than the portholes looking out on the Rutherford's Revenge. They didn't even have a potted plant to add some color. A large man with mostly white hair and a brown, bushy mustache flanked by several space marines came down a stark hallway toward us. When he stopped, Stella approached him and saluted. The man saluted back. "It's good to see you again, Major Starlight." "Thank you, General Tyson." I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. "You've got to be kidding. Your name is Stella Starlight?" "Stella is my nickname," she answered. "What's your real name?" I figured it'd be nice to know these things before our wedding. "That's classified. If I told you, I'd have to cut your head off and use it as a soccer ball." "After all we've been through together, you'd do that to me?" Stella smiled wickedly. "And who is this?" the general asked, studying me. I put my hand out and shook his. "I'm Rex Blademaster, at your service, and I want to sincerely thank you for that timely rescue." As I spoke, the general's face hardened. "Delroy Higston," he said in a low, menacing voice. "We were told to keep an eye out for you. I've heard you've been playing pirate in this neck of the woods." I gave him my best award-winning smile. "All a misunderstanding, sir. I've been here trying to protect unfortunate citizens from real pirates and Yshtari." General Tyson turned to the soldiers behind him. "Arrest this man. Shoot him if he resists." Before I could say anything, Stella stepped between us, her face now stern and serious. "Sorry, sir, but he's mine. I have a contract right here for his capture and bounty." She reached into her vest and pulled out a folded-up piece of paper that she handed to the general. "He is in my custody. If you don't mind, I'd like to borrow your brig for a few days until I can take him to Celestis 3. The general studied the paper before handing it back to her. "Very well. Sergeant, Help Major Starlight escort this scum to the brig. And if he resists... I'll shoot him, Stella said, pulling out her blaster pistol. She grabbed my arm in a tight grip and started dragging me down the corridor. Her fingernails bit in enough to draw blood. Ow! Stella, what are you doing? I thought we had something going here. What about all those times I saved you? Doesn't that count for something? No answer. She just looked forward down the hall, holding a stoic expression. After taking an elevator, I was dragged down a long hall until we reached a heavy steel door. On the other side were 2 more Marines guarding a room filled with several more doors leading into small jail cells. Each of those doors was also made of steel, with only a tiny slit at about eye level to see through. Stella and her escort threw me into the closest one. Before they closed the door, Minx, my ever-faithful bot, due to his programming, I should add, not any real feelings, followed me in. What about the bot? The sergeant asked Stella. He's harmless, and he knows not to try anything, since his job is to not let any harm befall his master. And if Delroy gets out, I'll rip his legs off. She snarled slightly as she glared at me. The sergeant closed the door and it clanked shut. I ran back to the slit and looked out to see Stella and the Marine leaving. My love, you can't leave me in here like this. Stella, please don't do this. Without so much as a glance back, she continued out the door and it shut behind her. My heart felt like it had been ripped out of my rib cage, used as a whoopee cushion several hundred times, and shoved back in upside down, inside out, and backwards. I turned around, slumped onto the cot, and buried my face in my hands. I thought I'd been getting somewhere with Stella, but it was all a lie. I thought she had at least softened, but once we got out of danger, she didn't even bat an eye as she threw me in jail. All I was to her was a paycheck. My entire life could be summed up by one lousy paycheck for the woman of my dreams. But who was I kidding? I'd never really had a real life. I never had any friends. Not close ones, anyway. The kids at school always teased me, and the others in the acting troupe avoided me. And even now, the only friend I had was my friend because of his algorithms. And I'd always treated him like dirt. What kind of a scum was I? It was time to change things. You know, Minx, I need to apologize to you. For what, sir? I haven't been a very good master. He didn't reply, so I continued. And I need to thank you for your quick thinking that kept me from becoming an Yshtari snack. As I would do for any master. I know, but it's just that I've always had such high expectations for myself. I thought I'd be a galaxy-famous actor by now in all the top movies. I thought I'd be rolling in money with fleets of fast ships, all the best bots to serve me, and loads of women at my beck and call. And all I got was you. Sorry about that, sir. No, that's not what I mean. I leaned forward and put my face in my hands. What I mean is, you deserve someone better, a better master. One that would appreciate your cooking skills and devotion. You are a good bot. I'm sorry I shot you all those times. Why, thank you, sir. I am touched. His arms creaked. I looked up to see his arms extended out for a hug. Whoa, whoa, I am not hugging a bot. At least not yet. Come on, Minx, give me a break here. I can only come along so far, so fast. He lowered his arms. You know, if I ever get out of this, I'm going straight. I'll only conduct business practices that are legal, and I'll treat you right. I promise, Minx. As you've already pointed out to me, I don't make a very good scam artist. In fact, maybe I should go back into acting. At least I'm good at that, even if it doesn't pay well. A klaxon alarm went off, vibrating throughout the ship. What's going on? I don't know, sir. Perhaps we're under attack. A few minutes later, the outer door to the brig opened. I jumped up and looked through the slit to see who entered. It was General Tyson and Stella. The general marched right up to my door and barked through the slit. Higston, relinquish command of your bot to us immediately. Why? Because we have an enormous Yshtari ship that took off from that planet and is bent on blowing us to little pieces. Major Starlight has informed me that your bot can speak Yshtari. We need him for negotiations. A smile crept across my face as I saw my chance at freedom. You can have him if you let me go and drop all charges. The general's eyes narrowed. You can't be serious. You'd put your freedom ahead of the safety of my ship and crew? Then listen to this. He spoke into a microphone on his lapel. Put the incoming message through to the brig. A clicking sound came through the speakers. Minx listened for several seconds. Oh, my. What? I asked. They are demanding the immediate surrender of all humanity. They have declared war. The general glared at me. Major Starlight informed me that you blasted a large hole in the side of the Yshtari royal ship. You've started an interstellar war, Dunglehead.
This has been a presentation of Big World Network. Visit us on bigworldnetwork.com for more free weekly series, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Big World Network.